What's up, Big Steve?
Shout out Michael Bisbin. Alrighty. UFC 319 quick recap, and then we're going to look at the early betting odds for next week, right? UFC Shanghai. We'll get into it. I'm not doing a recap. I'm not doing a separate recap, so we'll make this quick and we'll look at some odds. Did we make money today or this weekend? Yes, we did. There was a lot of regional. There was a bit of boxing. There was even Contender Series. I'm not going to talk about Contender Series because, I have a show with my boy Scrap Kappa on Monday, so we'll tackle that then. But yeah, let's get into it. Did lose like half a unit on Contender Series, but it is what it is. I didn't really force anything. It was a bit of a shit show as well. So let's get into it first. So ACA, I gave you lads a free bet on ACA. It was silver. He lost. It was like less than half a unit, whatever. There was a couple of good bets. Shelton Graves coming off a 5-year layoff, minus 200, and Slipenko. That one hurt the most. Won in 19 seconds. But that's about it. And then the other one was one Friday Fight Nights. That's not even on. It's not even on Tapology. So I won that. It was on Carrot Top. This young Uzbekistani guy. A little bit lucky there. He was plus 150. Won rounds 1 and 2. Obviously, 1FC doesn't score that way. And he got gassed and lost round 3 quite convincingly, but he still won a split. So the way judging in 1FC is, I thought he was going to lose a whole fight based on that finish. So a little bit lucky there. Won $500 there. And honestly, those are the only bets I won in August. Looking at that, it was 1FC at the start, one Friday night at the start, and then nothing until this 1FC. So I'm like, wow, I can only profit on one. And then we move on to PFL. Honestly, man, I think I might just have to completely pass on everything on PFL. Such a annoying, shitty promotion. So basically, I played this Chris Maxon guy. I think that was one of the best money lines on the card. $3.30, one rear round, one KO. I was going to put half a unit on it, but I just ended up playing his KO. It was $6. I put $50 and won. So I was like half a unit up there. I was like, not bad. This is how I'm going to play PFL. Keep it keep my cards to myself. I don't want to risk too much. Then I put half a unit on this fight, Renat Wilson, to start round 3. And the sniffer knocks him out with one knee. And I'm like, cool, typical PFL stuff. Pass everywhere. I was going to go half a unit on Grundy over 1.5 rounds because it's very negative. Didn't do it. This is where I got tilted. I played the Juliana Velasquez under and Shakalova at plus money. Obviously, I thought Velasquez could knock her out because Katerina is very gassy. And I thought Juliana is very old. Potentially something happens there, but very, very bad bet. I got so tilted because I just reminded myself how low output Juliana Velasquez was. So that tilted me. I'm like now down, I started up well and now I'm down half a unit. Lost my profit on maxing and I'm like, oh, I hate PFL so bad. I passed on Robert Watley. I thought he was going to lose round 1. It was $4 in round 2. I didn't live bet him. Nothing on Alves. And then I bet Liz Carmouche rounds 4-5 decision, a decent plus money. She gets a knockout end of round 3, but I live bet her big, luckily. So that kind of hedged me. And then nothing on Alfie Davis, Gadzi Rabadanov. I was going to bet like some sort of unders on Gadzi. That would have pissed me off. So end up like $400 down on PFL. Honestly, every time PFL is on, I feel sick to my stomach. It's just a ugly. It reminds me of Bellator, but even worse. Like, I don't mind the fighters, but as soon as they're associated with PFL, I don't even mind Sean O'Connell as a commentator. I like him, but I'm just so sick of hearing his voice because he reminds me of PFL. It's like that bald guy that was in Bellator. Who's that guy that was in Bellator the UFC signed as a commentator? I really like him, but then his voice just reminds me of PFL, of Bellator, I think that's why the UFC fired him. Jimmy Smith. I used to love Jimmy Smith when he was in the UFC. All right, so that's it. So lose a bit of, profit on 1FC and then lose a little bit on PFL, lose a little bit on ACA, not the end of the world. So we move on. All righty. And now we go to this boxing card. And this was a really, really high-level boxing card. I could have made the argument for every single bet, right? I passed on a few of these. I kind of thought about Ford KO. I thought about Hergovic over. I thought about Nick Ball over. One of my lads from Twitter, you might know him from London. He mentioned a really good bet. My boy Dogfather played some Nick Ball, round 7 to 12 KO. They're all good, but essentially the bet that I gave out was Moses Atema under 4.5 against Dillian White. Knocks him out in under 2 minutes. I mean, massive, massive value. I played it 2 weeks ago. I didn't tip it out because it was only available on Bet365. Then I played it on other stuff, and it shot up to slight plus money. And then I kind of overthunk it. It went up to, I had like 1K on it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, do I want more than one unit on this? Everyone is saying it's going to go over. He's going to be patient, and in the end, not patient at all. Just kills him. So I won like $700 there. And then the other one I played was Hiato Tatsumi to knock this guy out in under 5.5. This is basically a squash match. That was $1.73. I won just under half a unit. I couldn't go too big. I don't know these guys well. Like these unknown boxing fights, like you can wiki cap, but you just don't know anything, right? I'm just trying to tread carefully a bit with the boxing. Right? If it's first time taping some of these dudes, but yeah, massive squash match, knocks them out in round 3. So boxing is good now, right? Boxing is good. It's the first organization I profit decently, other than ONE FC. So, and then we go into the UFC, right? This just happened, but good card. I would say it lived up to it. Let me go through the comments and then we'll continue on. Nick Rodriguez, you're already here. Welcome. F. Pico. Mate, Pico was mush. Shout out Quiz. What's up your name? Quiz, Murphy, Lucky Meme. Quiz, it sounds like you're coping, mate. Sounds like you're coping. Had a big parlay and he lost. Yeah, sorry to say I'm not gonna attack you lads, but yeah. Kiwi, cheer roll, cheer Kiwi. PFL is so bad, sure is. Chalk stunk this week. Yeah, it did and it didn't. Depends. Actually, no, you're right, it did. Alrighty. So let's get into this guy. Joseph Morales versus Libby Idiris. Look, I didn't really take this fight too much. Morales was a little bit underwhelming on the regionals. His best performances were on tough, but even that last fight, I thought he didn't win. I was going to play Alibi, but his line was unplayable, so I passed. I could have poked the under, but I thought he correlated with Alibi KO, but honestly, there was no tape on him actually fighting good grapplers. Props to Morales, looked amazing. Karina Silva, I thought she should be the favorite. This was just a shit show fight. I almost played her round 1 takedown because she's hit like 4 takedowns in round 1 in 5 UFC fights. And she tried very hard against Viviani as well. But I'm like, what if Barboza takes her down first? I don't think she's going to get up. And that's exactly what happened. And the whole fight was just a shit show, Barboza had heaps of value, but she still ended up losing a decision. So, yeah, that was a pass. Drakkar close, Edson Barboza. I said this was a pass too. I just ended up playing half unit on Barboza, no scorecards. I was going to play the under, but I felt like Barboza is fighting the most negative guy in Drakkar close. And Drakkar close just kept hurting Barboza and then clinching him. And I was like, yeah, this is why I didn't play the under. So I got my money back there. And I was kind of happy. I'm like, I didn't really donate on anything. And then, Chase Hooper versus Hernandez. This was my first donation. I'm like, this is going to be a competitive fight. This is Alexander Hernandez, tough to wrestle, tough to grapple. Only been submitted once by Moicano. I think Hooper's going to have some trouble here. I just ended up putting $100 on some same game parlay. Fight to start round 3, Hooper to get a takedown in round 2 and 3, and that's it. It was paying good money because everyone, the under was favored, and it just gets killed in round 1. So I think that was a bit of an early stoppage. Very funny that Jason Herzog, will let these fights go on until someone almost dies in there when there's like 20, 30 seconds on the clock, but there's 4 seconds on the clock, and Chase Hooper rolls to his back, to survive. And Herzog's like, nah, I've seen enough. I've just on the whim. He's just how he feels, Sometimes he'll let a fighter die in there. Other times he's like, nah, I don't like what I see here. Call it. But that's just Jason Herzog. So lost $100 there, no biggie. So the big bet, Jessica Andrade. So she $7.50. I had more than a unit on her. Look, I had a lot of CLV. I could have hedged out a little bit. I ended up driving to my friends, and the fight was starting. So I was like, oh, there goes my hedge opportunity. But I was like, you know what? It's rare that you can cap a fight exactly how it's going to go. Like, I'm not really having the time or the reads like I used to. And I'm like, I know how this fight's going to go. There is massive value at plus 170. Loopy's probably going to have a great round 1. Round 2 is going to be sweaty for Loopy, and Andrade is going to almost kill her round 3. Like, it was easy to cap. And I didn't really know if it was going to be Pick'em or Loopy's slight favorite. So I'm like, I have like 60 cents CLV. I don't really care about CLV, but I do have a lot of it. So I just let it ride. It was a little bit frustrating that Andrade, her striking defense has always been bad, but she's fixed it at one point, and now it was kind of really bad for this fight too. And props to Loopy, she never fights smart, and she fought the perfect game plan there. She couldn't really get the wrestling off, but she used her a more educated guard and defense to just land on Andrade and have better optics and just edge out round 1 and 2. And Andrade had her moments in rounds 1 and 2, so it was really, really frustrating that she couldn't just steal it, not even get a split. We've got like Calvillo and Tabitha Ricci getting split decisions against Loopy, and Andrade couldn't do it. So that's a shame. I don't really regret the bet. It is what it is. It was a good read. Could have hedged it a little bit, yeah, maybe, but whatever. So now I'm like $850 down. $100 on the Chase donation, and then $750 on that. But I got Mikal coming up against GM3, and this is another fight that I actually have a bet and I have a read. So I'm like, if I'm going to chase, let's chase here, right? So I had half a unit. Actually, to win half a unit on the under, I said it's pretty much Mikal round 1. That's the correlation. Otherwise, GM3 is probably going to get it late. So I added another to win half a unit on fight ends round 1 and 2. And then I had a little poke on Mikal round 1. So I ended up winning $750 there. More than a unit. I'm happy I went big there. Easy. It was always going to cash. So yeah, now we $100 down. $100 down, we move on. And this is probably the worst bet I made. This Susakayev guy, I think this guy has way too much hype and he's very green. And if they don't slow him down, he might get exposed. And he fought this Eric Nolan. I don't really know much about Eric Nolan, so I didn't go big or anything. But at the end of round 1, when Eric Nolan hurt Susakayev, I'm like, man, Nolan has the better cardio. It's quite clear that Susakayev is kind of slowing down, blowing in there. He only just fought 3 days ago. And then his fight in Contender Series was short notice too. So this guy's not really training properly. If Nolan's going to beat him, it'll be now. And then as soon as I live bet him, like that one kick seems to destroy Nolan's ACL, or he's coming there already injured, right? Because this was a short notice for both guys. So yeah, that one annoyed me because I was like, oh wow, I just broke even, and now I donated $300 on Nolan live bet. So $400 there. Tim Elliott versus Kaya Sakura. Look, I said I was going to play the under here. Everyone's like, just play Kai KO, play Kai KO, but I was like, look, I'm not going to be tilted if Tim Elliott submits him. I said he ran through Sumadaji. Kaya Sakura has been submitted a lot. He's been hurt a lot. I played the chalk, $1.76 to win like 200 and something. That was satisfying. I would have been very, very tilted if I played Kaya Sakura KO. So now we're close to break even again. Michael Venom Page, this one was a little bit annoying. I contemplated laying the minus 200 all week, but what happened in round 3 with Jared Cannonier when he was laying on him, that's why I kind of passed. But I should have just put a unit. But props to people that backed Michael Page. He was faster. He was always going to get the moments. Jared Cannonier's chinny. So I just put like $70 on MVP KO. But deep down, I felt like he was just going to keep hurting him and not finish him. Nothing on Carlos Prates. Didn't really take this fight too much. I thought Neil was going to have some success, but I thought he was a bit more hittable, more likely to die, more older. Props to Carlos Prates. I thought it would take him longer than round 1 to kind of find his kill shot. So, all right, this is the one, Ron Murphy. I was saying I wanted to fade the public, and I was going to, and I ended up playing Aaron Pico round 1 takedown. It was Pick'em, and then he got steamed. I still played it. I won almost $300. That was a lock. I was going to ladder, 2-3 takedowns. That was the best fight for takedowns and Kamza. And I won almost $300 there. I'm break even now. And I just don't play Lerone Murphy. I'm like, Lerone Murphy's going to eat shit. He's going to get taken down. He might get hurt. I'm like, I'm just going to live bet it. But as soon as Pico ate one elbow from Lerone Murphy, I'm like, this kid's going to get knocked out. This kid might not even make it to round 2. And I was praying, please make it to round 2 so I can live bet Murphy. And he doesn't make it. And I was just, that one hurt. That one hurt a lot because I had a great read. I love fading the public, plus 170. And I even thought the KO would happen. I said he was pulling Emmett into elbows. He was going to pull Pico into something too, but oh well, can't blame anyone but myself. And then comes Chimaev. I faded the public here too. Everyone was on DDP this, DDP that. He's going to break him. He's going to survive. I played Kamza in round 1 takedown. He went up to $1.70. I put 600 to win 400 and something. that one. So just under $400. Not even a unit, but whatever. We profited. I've had an up and down August. As I said, started amazing with ONE FC, more than 2 units on one bet, and then ONE FC the day after, fight night. And then, PFL, shit, UFC, Octagon, really bad UFC deletes their fluffy where I was just forcing stuff out of spite. And then my contender series I lost. So at this point, it's looking like my August last year where I had to drop my units. Obviously, it's not that bad because I'm not super tilted, but just, at this point, I gave up all my ONE FC profits. And then I win another ONE FC bet. Seems to be the only organization I can profit in. A little bit of ACA donation, LFA. I didn't even talk about it, but just I won $150, then lost $150. PFL donation, and then some boxing was good, and UFC was good. So that puts me on 800 for the month. So a little bit over a unit. It's not going to break the bank, but it's better than break even. And I got 2 weeks to cuck this month. We're back over 10K. I'm almost at 20 units for the year. If you remember, I started down January and February, so we're good. I needed a reset. I needed to profit this week just to reset all the up and down, and now we're Gucci. So let's go through the comments, and then we're going to get to the early teas. It's why we're all here. Pirate was a pretty good card. This next one's interesting. I agree. There's a lot of chalk. There's a lot of squash matches in Shanghai, but it's interesting. Shout out Lucky Tim. Herzog had under 1.5. Yes, you can really tell what Herzog is betting in these fights. Lucky Tim, you mentioned before you need to actually call in to live bet. Can you not live bet mid-round? Yes, I can live bet mid-round, and I've been doing that a lot because I don't have to call in. But it's just I was at my friend's house, and calling in would take like 2 minutes, and I just can't be effed anymore. Probably still wouldn't have got there in time. I should have just picked up the phone and called up live the second that Murphy landed that elbow on Pico, the first one, like 30 seconds in. But it is what it is. What I really should have done is live bet, just bet Murphy. So that's it. My weekend. I'm glad about the boxing bet. The biggest regret is Murphy, and the biggest regret is even betting PFL. Right? There's PFL next week. Just someone stop me. Stop me from watching it. Stop me from betting it, unless there's a lock. Cool. Alrighty. Nick Rodriguez, the public was on Kamzat all the way. Yeah, maybe the public because his line was getting steamed, but not the actual Twitter because there was DDP everywhere, man. DDP this, DDP that. Some people I respect DDP. Suckers were on DDP. I just said, look, it's a live bet fight. There is no way in hell you can watch DDP tape and see and assume he's going to stuff Kamzat takedowns. There's no way. Alrighty, so there's a lot of things this weekend. There's a lot of stuff. So we got Dana White Contender Series. I'm not going to talk about it. There's a lot of familiar names. Jose Delano, this Esposito guy. Cam Roston's coming back. We'll talk about that on Monday with my boy Scrap. PFL. Do we have odds for PFL? I mean, I just said I won't be doing. Let me know. Are we doing a PFL early tease? Let me know now. I've got 2 seconds. I'm gonna whip up fight odds. We should have PFL. What's the card? No, it's a finale, so I feel like I probably should talk about it a little bit. And what else do we have this week? UFC, PFL, LFA, no odds. Contender Series. We also have Road to UFC, so plenty chances to make a couple of units this week and a couple of units next week. What do we got? What the hell is this? Events, PFL. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but it doesn't look like we have odds for PFL. Correct me if I'm wrong. Alrighty, let's do the UFC. Maybe I'll circle back to it. So Michelle Pereira versus Carl Dawkins. This is an interesting one. This is what's Nick saying? If PFL has odds, it's cool to early tease. I don't know. I don't see it on fight odds. So correct me if I'm wrong. Alrighty, let's do this. Let's do this chalky card in Shanghai. Michel Pereira, Carl Dawkins. Look, a lot of people saying Michel Pereira runs through Dawkins. That makes sense. That's his path. But man, how Michel Pereira has looked lately, not just against Fluffy. You can't even blame Fluffy because he gassed out like halfway through round one. So there's something weird about Michel Pereira. I thought he would have looked better at middleweight, not cutting so much weight, but he seems to have actually worse cardio. It's weird. Very weird. But yeah, I think Carl Dawkins is live. I haven't really seen what he's been doing on the regionals. He's got, wow, he's got 5 fights on the regionals. The UFC has really made him, 4 wins on the UFC, and he's been grappling in between. So, rear naked choke, decision over Greg Ellis, Darce choke over Sean Fallon, that guy's a bum. Keenan Patashuk is a bit of a bum, but not really. So, yeah, he could do some stuff to Michel Pereira. Like, it's a dog or pass, but I assume the under is going to correlate with Pereira, and that could be just the way to play it, honestly. Alrighty, let's move on. Yizar versus Weston Wilson. What a fight. Yizar is $1.0 something favorite. That's insane. He's coming off a loss. I get it. It's Weston Wilson. I mean, Weston Wilson is sub or bust here, and he's not going to submit. Yizar, who's a lifelong grappler. Basically, yeah, this is probably an under 1.5 rounds fight. But considering how much of a favorite Yizar is, it's going to be just insane, unplayable. And he's not the greatest finisher, Yizar, honestly. He has been heel hooked back in 2018, so anything's possible. But he survived an insane beating to Gabriel Santos. So let's move on. I mean, it's going to be Yizar, some sort of inside the distance, probably. Mahashate versus Gao Jiang. This is hovering around pick'em. It's going up and down. Odds. Let me just have a look. What have these guys been up to? Mahashate, man, this one breaks my balls. I said I was going to put a full unit on Nicholas Mota as a decent size underdog. I didn't, and I just had to watch that mauling that he gave to him. Gao Jiang he's very young, excuse the pun, but he's also quite green, Any step up he's taken so far, Sal Kid, whatever, that's okay. Evan Elder, I remember him just being a bit low volume there. It was on short notice, but both these guys are 25. I forget how young Mahashate was. Yeah, Mahashate is borderline UFC level. You could even argue that he's not UFC level. So he's just very hittable, very one-dimensional, just basically a striker with not much defense. Gao Jiang, I have to do a little bit of a recap on him, but one of the lads that talks to me, MMA guy, he's very passionate about Gao Jiang, so maybe that's where I start. Alrighty. Nick Rodriguez, he lost to Anders. I bet Anders against him there, and it was a hard click because Eric Anders. It's tough. The Yizar over might be playable. Yeah, look, it would have to be a great number for me, honestly. Nick Rodriguez, got Mahashate. What's the read, Nick? Let me know what the read is. Straight away, it's a pick and fight, so I'm not anticipating an edge right off the bat. Rongzhu versus Austin Hubbard, decent size favorite. Could this be a parlay piece? I don't really know, man. Austin Hubbard is very underwhelming, but at the same time, he also has value, especially in a striking fight. Split decision to Madero, split decision to Alexander Hernandez, which is now aging okay. Alexander Hernandez gone on a little streak of his own. 3-5 win streak. He had a split to Damien Jackson. Could have beat him too, honestly. Beat Jim Miller. Yeah, this is going to be a striking fight. Honestly, Austin Hubbard has some value. Let's be honest. He's going to calf kick Rongzhu. Rongzhu is going to be very hittable. Didn't he just drop the ball? He beat the shit out of Cody Steele, but he dropped the ball against Chris Padilla. Yeah, this is an interesting fight. Maybe live bet on Austin Hubbard, but I need to see some improvements from Rongzhu. He's still doing the same shit, honestly. All right, let's move on. Long Zhao versus Su Yong Yu. This is the first one that stuck out to me. Plus 150. Right, I think Long Zhao is quite good, 27 years of age. He's fought many, many grapplers back to back to back. And yeah, he's seen this type. And Su Yong Yu, he's very high level on the ground, but he's a little bit underwhelming. And so far, shut down Adrian Cunningham, shut down Juliisi, who is a very average fighter. We've just seen him get fraud checked again on road to UFC. Split decision to Darren Misu, whatever, knows, another grappler. Like, he's good, but he can cover his line. I was going to say, he doesn't really cover his minus money, but he can cover it. I don't know. It was definitely Xiaolong for me, but a lot of money is coming on him now. So now it's like, it's a bit disgusting. He had, he fought Chung Ho Lee, another grappler, and he was very competitive. He can't really separate when grapplers are aggressively grappling him. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm not interested in taping it now that the line is coming, but it's going to bounce back surely. It's early in the week. Who knows? Maybe I even like Su Young Yu. We'll see. Leon Kavanagh versus Charles Johnson. Leon Kavanagh honestly has ranking potential. Don't come at me. But this is a tough test. He's 26. I think he's a lot more physical than Charles Johnson. I'm going to say he has more power. He can potentially get takedowns on Charles Johnson. He's well-rounded. He's got wrestling. Charles just fluffed it against Ramazan Temirov, lost his ranking because of that. This is an interesting fight. I'm not really rushing to play Kavanagh at $1.44. I mean, this is the type of guy that could fraud check him. I remember back in the day, I bet Charles Johnson against Van, of all people. That's like the one time I've liked him in the UFC. I've never played him. I played him against Jake Hadley, but I didn't play him against Maxum. I faded him against Durden, faded him against Esteban. So I don't know. He's got his moments, Charles Johnson. When you least expect it, he'll win and look massive value. But yeah, so maybe this is the spot. He's an underdog. He's going to China. Maybe this is the spot. Nick Rodriguez, no mistake. Not Meknashate, but Rongzhu. I mean, Rongzhu even more chalky, man. But I think there's better parlay pieces than Rongzhu, but this is early in the week. Cloud 7315. Daukus is live. Rongzhu fight to lose. Am I crazy, or Costa have a nightmare matchup this weekend? Costa is the nightmare matchup, or he has a nightmare matchup? I mean, you can argue that Pavlovich is a nightmare matchup for a lot of guys in heavyweight. He used to be the boogeyman, but Dayu Nurzagoyev versus Uran Satubalaev. Well, this is an interesting fight. You would usually see this fight in ACA. All right, two Kazakhstani and Uzbekistani, Tajikistan, I think this red flag is. Let me have a look. DRI's kind of fluffed it recently. Getting submitted via Kimura in the UFC by Bretson Ribeiro is a big red flag. This Bartos guy that he fought on Contender Series is really bad. He's got knocked out back-to-back in KSW. He doesn't have any good wins. But this Uran Satubayev is actually decent. So, he had a good showing on very short notice, up a weight class against Martin Budai. Now, Martin Budai is not that great. He's been cut. But he was giving up like 40 pounds. And he actually hurt Martin Budai. So that means this guy carries power. So I might be on this guy, Uran. Like, he has a good chin. He's a bit like an older brother of Oralbai. Right? It's Kyrgyzstan. My bad. Right, there's so many of these stands and all flags look similar. But yeah, there's no odds on this guy, right? Someone tell me. Fight odds, UFC, Shanghai. Not road to UFC. What is this? UFC Shanghai. I need to know. They probably haven't released these odds, have they? This one's interests me. If this Uran guy is a slight favorite, I'm going to play him. I think he's much better. Much better. All right. Nick Rodriguez. I've got this Uran. What's the odds? This looks like a glorified road to UFC. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a day before the road to UFC. Yeah, I don't think we have odds, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to like Uran unless he's a massive favorite, which he could be. Alrighty. On to the main card now. Tayalake Nuraji versus Kiefer Crosby. Yeah, this is a setup fight. Nuraji won impressively on road to UFC by KO. And for some reason, Dana White didn't sign him. It just made 0 sense. Like, I think he earned a contract with that. They let him go back onto China regionals, and he just killed a bunch of other bums. This kid's very good. This kid is 24. 10 out of his 11 wins are by KO, I'm pretty sure. Oh, he's got arm bars, but finish. He's just a finishing machine. He's very young, and he got finished by a liver kick by some 28-7 extremely experienced Chinese dude. But that was 4 years ago, so he was like 20, and he bounced back. So I basically think he should run through Kiefer Crosby. Kiefer Crosby has been finished in every single loss. Yeah, this is an underspot, and this is my favorite parlay piece potentially. But we need another parlay, right? We need a parlay with something. So let's move on. Sumedezi versus Kevin Borjas, right? Sumedezi is not really it. He's not really it. He should have never been in the ranking. He looks nice on the eye, but he's got some fragility issues. He's always had the ground game issues. He got hurt and finished by Charles Johnson of all people, and he had a really, really underwhelming performance against Richard Poso. So I think this kid is washed at 29. Never really got going. So Kevin Borjas in a striking fight at plus money, I'm interested. I bet him at big plus money versus Lazy Boy, 30-27. That was a beautiful, beautiful play. Locked it in right before the fight started. That's why I always wait till last minute. And yeah, I think it's striker versus striker. I think Sue will have, he'll be faster, he'll be cleaner. And I think Borjas is still a little bit unproven. He's 27, and that fight, I also played him against Alejandro Costa, and that fight was a bit of a red flag. He was getting hurt, got his calf kick shattered, and just kind of broke him easily. So I have to evaluate, does he have it in him, or can you kind of hurt him easily? But he looked fine in a war against Joshua Van. That fight was very close to going into his favor. And he took down Josh Van, he hurt him, he dropped him. So yeah, at the moment I'm leaning dog or pass. Doesn't matter who Sumedezi is fighting, it's going to be very hard to back him up at minus money. That's how we are. Let me take a breath. Let me look at some comments, shall we? Hallelujah. Sadie won like 8 minutes of that fight. Yeah, it was very, very unfortunate for Budai to win. Very fortunate for Budai to win that fight, but that's pretty much his whole UFC career. That's why UFC cut him. Everyone that's losing their shit over Budai being cut, being 7-1. If you actually watched all of his fights, you wouldn't give a crap, and you would understand why the UFC cut him. This dude finishes Crosby. I answered your question, Nick, 100%. Borjas has wrestling. Not really. I mean, he took down Van, so it's possible. Evan, Borjas doesn't wrestle. He's taken people down before Evan. Probably not proactively, but I think he could look value still. Close fight, yeah, plus 140. You got to play the dog then. Budai won by blob. That's a good description. He just blobs on everyone. Hopefully we get a good price on my boy Buchecha after that. Alrighty, Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Who would have thought we would see Waldo's here in the rankings fighting a top 3-4 guy after just that random ass performance versus Sergey Pavlovich? Not Sergey Pavlovich, Sergey Spivak. Props to him though, he's improving. His takedown defense is improving. But that's about it, man. This guy, he's still just... His salsa boy is perfect for him because he's literally dancing in there instead of throwing. He almost lost round 3 to Sergey on the feet. Some people will argue that he did. And he still has no good wins other than Spivak. Ryan Spann, Despain, Arlovsky, Bresky, Sherman, Bandera. Yeah, I mean, Sergey should beat him. Waldo's going to have no striking defense. But it's hard to back Sergey at this price. Recently, since Tom Aspinall cold-cocked him, that Alexander Volkov performance was very concerning. Volkov shut him down for 3 rounds. But Volkov, they're ex-training partners, and Volkov did come in with a new look. So he clearly knew how to shut down his ex-training partner. But, I mean, and then in Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight, he grappled. He used wrestling. So we're seeing evolution, right? Sergey Pavlovich, he actually has a Greco-Roman wrestling background. We saw that in M1. He used it more often. So he really should be able to show levels here. He should take down Waldo. He should hit him and knock him out. Because Waldo has an iron chin, but he's been wobbled. He's been knocked out in boxing very early. And he took some bombs against Lima, but then he was kind of hurt by Spivak. So, yeah. But, yeah, $1.30, like Sergey Pavlovich, a heavyweight fight. Like, I don't know if his gas tank is bad. I don't know. It's shithouse. Maybe the under 1.5 is good because Pavlovich has gone to decision back to back, and maybe the bookies kind of, they get caught sleeping, but it would need to be a big price. I think potentially these guys could stare at each other. All right, Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. Let me do the comments. Nick thinks Sergey finishes him. Yeah, potentially. He will finish him on the ground. $1.40, not $1.30. What are we talking about, Nick? What's $1.40? Is that Acosta's price, or is that Borja's fight? Alrighty. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I get why Sterling is such a massive favorite. Brian Ortega is a bit washed, but didn't Ortega say he's moving to lightweight? What's this all about? Why is he still here at featherweight? Why is he cutting weight when he said he can't do it? Brian Ortega's best win is Yair Rodriguez, which really says nothing about him. It just says how bad Yair Rodriguez is. If the UFC gives Yair a title shot, I'm riding. I'm losing my shit. I'm going crazy. This guy, Yair Rodriguez, is so bad, man. I think at least 6 of the top 10 people beat Yair Rodriguez incomprehensibly. I think Lerone Murphy schools him. I think the guy that just got knocked out, Aaron Pico, could potentially school the crap out of Yair Rodriguez. Josh Emmett, he beat Josh Emmett, but I think on another day, Josh Emmett could beat him. He dropped him badly in round 1. Yeah, it's just... Anyway, story for another day. But I guess I get why Sterling is a favorite. He seems less washed. He seems to look quite good at featherweight. He almost beat Evloev. He's a master sniffer. Brian Ortega's never had good takedown defense. He's 34? Wow, I thought he was a lot older than that. So I guess Aljamain Sterling can take him down and stay safe in his guard. But Brian has better striking. He's got some power. He's big. I don't know if you want to play the grappling game with Brian. Has anyone wrestled Brian? Volkanovski. Volkanovski did, but he was gassed and he almost got submitted. Diego Lopez was in his guard a little bit after dropping him. Frankie Edgar, Moicano. No one's really wrestled this guy. I wonder if there's some value in Brian Ortega. Is Aljamain Sterling just going to kick on the outside and try grapple? That seems like a really low margins kind of fight for Aljo. Evloev had no finishing upside off his back, so it was easy just to grind the wrestler. And maybe if Sterling also gasses from the grind, maybe he gets submitted. This is an interesting fight. There's some layers to this fight. What do we think in the comments? Evan, Yair gets a title shot, and we're right, mate. Yair has had a horseshoe up his ass. It's just, man, don't understand how they haven't matched Yair with someone that's not washed, that's in the top 10 that could beat him. He fought Jeremy Stevens 3 fights ago. It just makes no sense. Lerone will fight for the belt, hopefully. Honestly, they need to do Lerone Murphy versus Evloev and give him the next title shot, and they need to do the winner of Lopez versus Gene Silva for the next title shot, which is in a week or so. So it lines up well. Ortega doesn't train like a pro fighter anymore. BJJ Nomad. Yeah, who knows? Alrighty. Johnny Walker, Ming Yang Zhang. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. They're setting up Johnny Walker to die in Shanghai. There's no point giving him 5 rounds. It's so stupid. It's probably going to last 2 minutes. But I would caution against parlaying Zhang, because Zhang, in his losses, has been knocked out many, many times and submitted. So Zhang has 6 losses. Sure, a lot of them, he was a young child. The last one was 2019, so that's 6 years ago, man. So he would have been, 21? But he was against an 0-0 guy. And he got knocked out by the famous Askar Mozarov. If we know him, he came to the UFC, he got fraud checked by round 1 KO. Then not some random Sergey guy knocked him out in round 2. Got knocked out in round 1 in 2016. So he's a kid. Sure, he might have improved by now, but he's getting finished a lot. So there might be some issues with this guy's chin. Right, we didn't really see it. He was very patient against Ribeiro, very patient against Ozzy Diaz. And Anthony Smith, probably one of the easiest fights in his entire life. But Johnny Walker is dangerous. We'll see. This under 1.5 rounds, this shit's going to be... I'll be surprised if it's minus 200. That's what I said about Lewis versus Teixeira, and it was better than minus 200. But I'll be surprised if this is better or minus 200. And I think maybe minus 200 would have some value too, because both guys could do it. So that's all right. I don't want to waste too much time on it. It's a very binary, volatile fight. They know what they're doing, by giving Johnny Walker this opportunity. Johnny Walker, what's he been up to, man? He got killed by Volkan Ozdemir. Like, that's brutal. Ankalaev, I actually forgot that he was on a 3-fight winning streak before that. Kudalaba, Paul Craig, Anthony Smith. Yeah, it's okay. He can do stuff. Killed Ryan Smith before. Yeah. For some reason, I thought he was on like a 6-fight KO losing streak. But he can win. He will be Zhang's best win in the UFC. But they're matched up so well that Zhang should kill him. So that's it. No PFL, no odds. I can't find it. I don't know what happened to fight odds, why they're so different now. Okay, I found it, but yeah, there's no odds still. PFL, no. Oh, wait a minute. Is this it? No odds. That's interesting. They usually put them out, but all right, that's it. Peace out. Tune in tomorrow around this time. Me and Scrap will break down second week of Dana White Contender Series. Should be good. Like and subscribe. Leave me a comment, and thank you for listening.